live, going live. Your hangout on air is live. Welcome to another episode of the Super Movie Studies Podcast, a show about comic book movies approached from every angle in a community of nerds discussing how fiction relates to non-fiction. I'm your comic book culture host, Michael Maurer, joined by the scientific scholar
Grant Austin.
and special guest.
Twitter time.
Please read the blue, Tom.
Oh, shoot, sorry. SMSP is your premier movie discussion podcast. Every week we continue our journey exploring our favorite subject, superhero movies. Every fan sees the movies differently, so we gather some amateur experts to discuss certain aspects of the movie.
Whether it's money, comic books, music, or science, SMSP talks about it all in this week's episode, Gotham, Season 1. And yes, there will be spoilers.
Please don't forget to mute your mics. That's to you, Tom, because yours gives off an echo. That's all.
Sorry.
Totally fine. Totally fine. First opinions. Gotham Season 1. Oh no, Grant is here. That's a bad thing. No, never mind. Oh no, Skylar and Ben are not here. You know what that means? They're a bunch of lamos who did not prep the content. Neither of which have seen Gotham Season 1. Only these three gentlemen you are listening to right now in the troupe have had the wonderful privilege of watching this fantastic fluff of a show. I'll go ahead and start first opinions then, with Gotham Season 1 being a very decent show. I will not say it is the greatest, but it is certainly not ill-produced, or unwell, or poorly is the word I'm looking for. It takes me 3 tries of really bad words before I get to the actual one that makes sense. But I really appreciate the relationship between Gordon and Bullock. I think that is just a lock in just beautiful chemistry, in my opinion. I really like Jada Pinkett Smith as Fish Mooney just because she over-dramatizes everything to a beautiful, campy amount. Even if what the writers write for her is just absolute ridiculous nonsense to get her from point A to point B, her journey in this season is weird, crazy bullshit. And I could do without baby Bruce Wayne. Goodbye. David Mazouz, I'm sure you're a good enough child actor, but I don't even want to see him as much as they show him in this show. I will take Sassy Alfred, though. This is probably my favorite version of Alfred ever. Ever. This guy is awesome. As well as they've made the Penguin intimidating, which is impressive, I must say. But that's all I really have to say about Season 1. I've given my specifics, my antics. I'm going to pass it on over to Tom.
I pretty much agree with everything you said. I think the show would work better if they would narrow it down to 12 episodes. If they wouldn't do the normal 24 episodes of, storyline for network television, so they have to do a lot of filler. I did not like Fish Mooney, but I like Jada Pinkett Smith because she just did the best with what she had. And I also liked the Bullock and Gordon aspect, like you said. And I think that's when the show works the best, is when they focus on those two guys. I don't mind Bruce Wayne, but I don't think he needs to be a main character. I think, if they just had him pop in a couple episodes to let you know he's there and he's in this world, it would have worked better. And I also didn't like the fact that, they forced, all these references down your throat. We get it. The show's about the Batman universe. We get it. You don't have to hold our hands and tell us, they don't have to show Harvey Dent's face, half of it in shadow, half of it in the light, to let you know that he's going to be Two-Face eventually. And that stupid-ass Jerome guy, who you kind of thought was the Joker, but he's not. And it's just, some of it made me really mad, but there were some episodes that were really good. I thought it was good when they were tying the dude to the weather balloons and dropping them. You would never picture to see that a Batman show or whatever.
Unless it was from the 60s.
Right,
Or a
exactly.
cop show in general, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it works. I think it like as a cop drama, it's great. I just feeling the Batman characters in there. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it.
Wasn't the Jerome like semi Joker character? Wasn't that season 2?
He's introduced in season 1. Was he the balloon killer? Who was the
I think
balloon
season
killer?
2.
He breaks out of jail in season 2. They put him in jail in season 1.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I just forgot about that because I don't know. I was only able to look at a few clips in preparation for this, so the 2 seasons kind of jumble together in a lot of parts. So,
Go ahead.
all right. Well, but anyway, I guess it's my turn for my opinions. I love this show. I thought it only got better as it went on. There were a lot of points that you guys made that I agree with. I think Jada Pinkett Smith's character, I enjoy it being there because I enjoy the drama within the mafia and people fighting for power and stuff. However, you're right. I think her writing is not the greatest. I like Bruce Wayne being there. I think because it is a Batman show, it wouldn't do the universe justice not have Batman there at least a little bit. I do think he's overplayed. I don't think he needs to be in it as much as possible, and I definitely don't think this early he needs to be so hung up on being Batman. Like everybody knows he's going to be Batman eventually. We don't need to see him like starting this journey to being a detective and like getting into trouble. Like he can do some small things in this first season and then build up to that, but they just go straight into it. Like an episode after his parents are killed, he's automatically just like, all right, I'm going to investigate Wayne Enterprises because fuck it, I guess I don't go to school. So yeah, I like the references to other characters, especially when they're more subtle. For example, using the Viper as a precursor for Venom, so that way you don't have to actually introduce Bane. You can just sort of have that concept in there. But otherwise, I think that it's a wonderful show. I think the Gordon and Bullock dynamic is fantastic. And I can't wait for the third season to come out this fall. And I think Maurer froze on us a little bit. Or else he just left.
I think you're right.
Yeah. Which is unfortunate because his section is next. So it's awkward.
He'll come back. He can edit all this out, I think.
Yeah, he'll be fine.
Oh, you are going to talk about the Balloon Killer, aren't you? That's
I am going to talk about the Balloon Killer. The Balloon Killer, the Viper, and the
Electroshock.
yeah, what they call him, the Electrocutioner or whatever. Yeah. Which wasn't really mind control, but it's a better tagline to call it mind control, I guess. So now we have 2 Maurers.
We have 2 Maurers. Hey, there he is.
Oh, this happens every time.
It's always just you, though. Nobody else has any problems.
Well, that's because you're literally latching onto my internet and just being like, I guess we'll just go for a ride. Your internet isn't pooping out because it's not hosting a connection.
Well, it's your turn. We got through my opinions, and then we talked about what I was going to talk about later, but go ahead, comic book stuff.
Thanks for the lead-in. Go ahead, Michael, comic book stuff. Not like it's obviously the most important aspect of this entire show.
I think science is more important.
Oh!
Science is always more important.
All right, you're fired.
Intro is important.
I'm totally just kidding, Maurer.
No, I totally thought you were serious because I'm a ball buster. Okay, so actually, there's a little bit of fun money facts. We don't really know the budget of the entire show, of course, but we know its Nielsen ratings for the year, because this is this. When did the show come out? Oh my gosh, 2014, right? Yeah, that sounds about
Yeah,
right.
yeah, 2014.
Yeah.
Um, well, it was ranked 68th for the year in terms of viewership, with averaging about 7.56 million viewers per episode. Which, if you think about it, it's probably a ton more popular than the CW shows, but because we run in such circles of superhero fandom watchers, more people have probably seen the CW shows that we know compared to people that we don't even know about watching Gotham. Maybe. So let's get on to comic books, I guess. No commentary. Or am I still connected? All right, I'm still connected. So I don't know when I lose you guys, if I'm the only one talking. Um, Comic books. We've got a few characters that I would like to discuss in this set. Maybe not perhaps first premiered. I mean, Batman the Animated Series pretty much covers everything, as well as those original Batman movies, just to supplement everything out as well. But let's talk about the truly unique characters to Gotham. Number one being Fish Mooney. Totally made up. Maybe specifically for Jada Pinkett Smith. I'm not sure. But they get to do whatever the hell they want with that character. And boy, have they taken that to heart. Sending her to a body farm for the black market, and then bringing her back to lead a weird gang of rebels, including... What?
I was gonna say ending with ripping her own eye out and stomping on it, doesn't she?
Oh,
Doesn't she
yes.
rip her eye out?
Yeah, I think I do remember that.
Yeah, she does do that because she would rather have it crushed than have her eyes taken out for some rich black market person to buy them.
So
Yeah, it's
No,
intense.
she's really just being spiteful because it was going to happen regardless.
um. Well, I just don't get why she was never murdered in the body farm. Okay, like they are clearly killing people, and you've got one person who has the power and like gravitas to trigger a riot, a rebellion, and you keep that person around. She has no like special skills that you need for your operation. All right? And it's not like you're paying her any extra to be a guard or anything. You've got hired muscle. Why are you keeping this chick alive? Only to have her eventually escape. That was kind of frustrating, that entire arc. But let's move on to an actual comic book character, starting with Barbara Keene, or the first Barbara Gordon. Premiered in, would you believe it or not, Encyclopedia of Comic Book Heroes #1-Batman, 1976. Was actually credited to be created by Frank Miller and David Mazzucchelli because her first actual comic book appearance is in Batman Year One, which is really the only main times we see Barbara have a storyline. Right? As you know, Barbara Gordon is Jim Gordon's first wife, until he has an affair with his captain, or I suppose she wouldn't be his captain yet, but would be one of his partners. I forget her actual rank in Year One, but Sarah Essen, another woman on the police force who he bangs, because Gordon's a player. Of course, Barbara left him shortly after that, taking care of James Jr., their son, while he was left to take care of Barbara Jr., their daughter. Very prideful naming of children. She didn't come back as a main character in Batman until like 30 years later, because Year One happened in the early 80s, and she didn't have she was mentioned a couple times, but it wasn't until Detective Comics in like the 700s in 2011, Scott Snyder is around to do a run called Skeleton Keys, where it turns out James Jr. is a psychotic psychopath, or he's a sociopathic psychopath, serial killing psychopath, sadistic psychopath. That's the best phrase we're going to go with. Who is out to torture his family, every member. So Barbara gets to play the victim again, being like kind of carved up in a bathtub. She survives that, but is traumatized. All that got changed in the new 52 reboot they did in late 2011, where Barbara now just sort of left Jim. God, it's hard to keep them apart because there's a Barbara Jr., and a James Jr. But Barbara Keene left James Gordon with James Jr., and they did the whole James Jr. is a psychopath story again. Really quickly after the fact, too.
I had no idea he was a serial killer in the comics.
Really, it was never brought up until recently, and I'm surprised they aren't gonna sort of bring that out in Gotham. I think, well, maybe they will, because Barbara went through a weird phase at the end of that season.
Yeah, but she's kind of normal again now, so she could literally go anywhere in season 3.
Oh,
'Cause they did, like, she went into a coma and then had like psychotherapy, and now she's supposed to be like normal. So we'll see whether she regresses to being crazy again or if she stays normal. So they could do whatever the fuck they want, really.
Well, Barbara is kind of a blank slate because she's only been involved in like 2, maybe 3 big Batman stories, and each time she's never really had a defining moment. She's just been like a victim of James Gordon's life. So let's move on to the next character, Dr. Leslie Tompkins. Premiered in Detective Comics number 457, 1976, Denny O'Neil and Dick Giordano. Dr. Tompkins is introduced as caring for Bruce on the night of his parents' murder. So she was kind of retconned into his origin. This inspired her, this moment where like she saw a little boy who had been traumatized by his parents being murdered in front of him. It inspired her into helping slum kids stay away from a life of crime. She was already a family friend of Thomas Wayne and becomes the Wayne house call doctor when Bruce becomes orphaned. As Bruce becomes Batman, he enlists her medical expertise more than once, and she comes to know Batman's true identity, brought into the Bat family fold. While helping Bruce, she strongly disapproves of his taking in wards and sidekicks to fight off crime with him. So much so that a controversial story involved her refusing medical treatment for a dying Stephanie Brown, the 4th Batgirl, because there are 4 Batgirls, and that led to her death because she didn't save her, and she could have. And Leslie did all of this in hopes to prove, finally to Bruce, that life of vigilantism is too dangerous for teenagers. This story was retconned away because holy character suicide, Batman. A doctor refusing a character medical treatment in order to prove a point?
Yeah, that's one way to get your point across.
Jeez. They changed it to where she actually helped Stephanie Brown fake her death in order to get her out of the crime-fighting biz. All right, it makes a bit more sense that way. There's no romantic relationship with her and James Gordon, but it is implied that there is one between her and Alfred Pennyworth.
Which they kind of hinted that in the second season they have Alfred hit on her.
Oh.
Which is really awkward because she's dating Jim, and Jim and Bruce get a good laugh out of Alfred's humiliation.
Oh, poor my favorite Alfred. Also, I can't tell if like Alfred is the same age as Jim or if like he's supposed to be 10 years older, 20 years older. What would you say how old Alfred is and how old Jim Gordon is? Like, what's the age difference there?
I don't know. I think Alfred looks definitely older, but they leave his age really ambiguous in this show. So
Okay.
he could literally just look old, um, which I can imagine would be a result of all the stress he's had in his life. But he could just as very well be old too. So I don't.
I'm thinking he's like 35, Jim Gordon, and Alfred's 45.
He could still beat Jim Gordon up. I guess that's all that matters.
Oh, true.
Doesn't matter how old he is, he can still kick Gordon's ass.
I was gonna say I wasn't. Alfred was in a war by now. He was already drafted in the British military and done. So finally, we move to our last character, which is Harvey Bullock. This is Harvey Bullock's first live action interpretation, which is really kind of stunning to believe because he's been involved in more than 700 Batman comics, been around since the 1970s, and like every other member of the Batman cast, with the exception of Dr. Leslie Tompkins, has had like a live action interpretation, but not Harvey. He premiered in Detective Comics number 441, 1974, Archie Goodwin and Howard Chaykin. So his first origin, because if it's before 1985, every character's got two origins, maybe three, for the DC side. Simply because of DC Crisis on Infinite Earths, which changed everyone origin stories, and the New 52, which again changed everyone origin stories. And maybe some origin stories got changed in Infinite Crisis, and even a couple in Final Crisis. So, gosh, there's so many crises.
And Rebirth, right? They just
And
announced Rebirth.
yes, Rebirth is out right now, which is further, but Rebirth is trying to reconnect everything before New 52. It's just sort of trying to take New 52 and push it off to the side and just say none of that really happened. Because a lot of diehards didn't like the New 52. So his first origin involves him being placed as Jim Gordon's new partner with orders from the frickin' mayor to sabotage that man's career, being that he is the only just cop in Gotham and he is aiming to bring everyone down. So Harvey plays the role of buffoon and quote-unquote accidentally botches up any investigation that they're on until one mistake literally gives Gordon a heart attack. This causes Harvey to change his ways and reform because he almost killed a guy by being a corrupt cop. Whatever. Fast forward to his new origin after Crisis on Infinite Earths in 1980s. Harvey is still a corrupt cop as ever, but he's still a corrupt cop as ever, taking bribes, having too close a relationship with organized crime and police brutality. But he's somewhat inspired by his new partner's crusade on crime, and while he doesn't change who he is at all that much, he is always loyal to Gordon and puts on his best behavior when he can afford it. Which I think we see almost to a T in this television show. It's just like, Harvey does some shady stuff every once in a while, but when it comes down to standing next to Gordon, he's right there. Also, he has a reputation for eating a lot of donuts, but that just might be a police thing.
Is Harvey the one that told Gordon to shoot Penguin, or no?
Well, I think Penguin was a hit out on what was it? It was
Fish
Harvey.
Mooney wanted to kill him, and Harvey was there, and I think Harvey told him it was best to just do it and not get on the bad side of the mafia, but I don't think it was Harvey's idea or anything.
No, yeah, Fish Mooney ordered Jim Gordon to kill Penguin in order to prove that she could control this cop. All right, and if she couldn't control this cop, she was just going to kill him. because Jim Gordon had no power at that point. He had no sway. It was just like, if I can't get this cop early, I'm not going to let him like garner a force. I'm just going to kill him. So either he's in the fold or he's out.
Gotcha.
You said that this was Harvey's like first live action appearance,
Mm-hmm.
but I guess couldn't you argue that the cop in Batman Begins is pretty much based off Harvey?
He is kind of based off. Well, he's actually Gordon's first partner from Batman Year One. Give me a second. No, oh, Flass. Yes, he's actually Arnold Flass. That's a character from Batman Year One, and he's got the look of Harvey, and he's got a few of the attitudes, but most of those attitudes are just corrupt copness. And both Arnold Flass and Harvey are corrupt cops, but Harvey reforms is the thing, and Arnold never really does. He continues to be a jerk, and I don't think Arnold ever really reformed in Batman Begins.
And Harvey has reputation for donuts, and Flass likes falafel.
Yes, that is 100% correct.
Big difference there.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, how could I have been so blind to have not seen that when I was watching the movie?
I've got kids to feed. What? You kids don't like falafel?
Wow, that actually solved my problems. I can't believe I didn't think of that before.
All right. I'm done with comic books. So typically we would have music, but Skylar's not here. Nobody else really wanted to pick up the slack. But oh wait, Tom, you've got some information for us. I see on the
Yeah, I know you asked earlier who did the score, so I just pulled that real quick.
Mm-hmm.
It was just by Graham Revell and David E. Russo. I've heard of Graham Revell before, but I've never heard of David E. Russo. And
Sounds like a Russo brother.
If Graham Revell did any comic book movies before or not. I want to say he did. But other than that, I have nothing for music.
Well, please let us know what you think of the score. Send us your favorite hot tracks, of course. Send them into Skylar, and we will see. Oh wait, Graham Revell did the score to Sin City. Interesting. I think. Give me a second. Let me. Let's just take a quick pause.
He did the Ben Affleck Daredevil as well.
There it is. Look at all this. Look at all this nerd cred. He's got Daredevil under his belt. He's got Sin City. He's got Pitch Black. Ooh. Pineapple Express, of course, is the greatest comic book movie of all time. Yeah. Ooh, Aeon Flux as well. And The Adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl 3D. This man's a pro. Truly, nothing to be trifled with. A lock-solid music category. Tweet us your favorite track, I guess, by Graham Revell. And it better be from The Adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl 3D. Okay, so let's move on. Just skip right on through to science, all right? Let's just get straight to the best part of the show.
It is the best part of the show. Thanks for acknowledging that, Michael.
Oh, you're welcome, bitch. All right.
All right, let's talk some science.
Got three topics.
I do have 3 topics. I could have had a lot more because there's a lot of pseudoscience in these superhero TV shows. It's fun to talk about, especially Flash and Arrow. Oh my God.
Holy crap.
But anyway, 3 that I wanted to talk about were the Balloon Killer, because that was a favorite amongst all of us, I think. The Electroshock Mind Control, in quotation marks, from the Electrocutioner, which is the cheesiest name of all time. And then the Venom precursor, the Viper drug that they had. So
Wait, you think electrocutioner is more cheesy than oh shit, animal, vegetable, mineral man?
Animal, Vegetable, Mineral Man isn't in the show, so it doesn't really count in this argument.
All right, all right.
All right, so let's talk about the balloon killer. This is totally possible. You could definitely do this if you wanted to be a very sadistic serial killer. It's pretty straightforward. You fill a balloon with helium that would have enough buoyancy to carry a human up through the atmosphere, and then once it gets high enough, it explodes and the person falls and dies. So it explodes because of Boyle's law, which says that pressure and volume are inversely proportional. So as one goes up, the other has to go down. And when you have a balloon going up through the atmosphere, it is experiencing lower and lower pressure on the outside of the balloon because the atmosphere thins. And as a result, the balloon expands and expands and expands to equalize that pressure on the inside so that the inside pressure is equal to the outside pressure. And eventually, the structural integrity of the balloon just can't take it anymore and it explodes. The person falls and dies. So, yeah, that one is totally possible, and kind of surprised it's never actually been thrown into any sort of comic book, TV show, or anything like that before, because it's pretty clever, actually. You just have to be able to get your hands on some weather balloons, which I can't imagine would be that difficult.
Hmm. Well, the question was, it's like, all right, how much helium do you really need to lift a human body? All right, with not enough time for them to grab onto something or wrench free, because like it would take a lot of helium to lift a human body, doesn't it? I mean, you
Uh,
look at all the balloons the lawn chair man had.
Not necessarily. It kind of depends on the size of the balloon. If you had a smaller balloon, you'd want more helium because then it would cause a greater buoyant force. But if you have a really large volume balloon, then you're going to have an increased buoyant force, which is opposing gravity. So you could get it to go up faster. So that's what they would do with a weather balloon, which are pretty big anyway, because the weather balloons have to be able to carry equipment into the atmosphere to be able to detect weather patterns and stuff. So
Hmm. Oh, by the
that.
way,
I
hmm?
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I have two questions for you, Grant. One, would you, if I was tied to that balloon, would I run out of oxygen before it popped? Like, would running out of oxygen kill me, or would the impact kill me? Two, if I got that high up, would I like? Cause they fall back down in Gotham, don't they? Like they land somewhere in Gotham.
Yes.
They wouldn't go that straight up where they would land back in Gotham, would they? Would they actually float off and land like miles down the road, or no?
Okay, so those are good questions. First one, I guess to answer both of them, really, it depends on the height that they go, which just depends on the balloon. Um, but if the balloon was going high enough, I don't think any weather balloons go high enough where you would go so high that the oxygen deprivation would kill you. Probably just high enough to knock you out. In which case, when you fell back to Earth, if you didn't wake up, you would at least be unconscious when you hit the ground and died. But either way, the impact would be what would kill you. Um, I you would have to go really high to be so oxygen deprived that you died. So I don't think any normally available weather balloon could do that. Um, and then for your second question, I guess it depends on both how high you go and the weather. Probably not, though. You would definitely get moved somewhat in some direction. But Gotham's a huge city, so I can imagine that if you were released somewhere in Gotham, you'd have a pretty good chance of falling back down somewhere else in Gotham. You just probably wouldn't be in the same spot. Falling back into the same spot would be pretty astronomically small chances of happening. But depending on the weather, you probably wouldn't move that far in either direction, enough to be like blown out of the city at all.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine you falling farther than 20 miles from where you originally went up. Oh, and
Well, 20 miles is actually really far up. Um, it's kind of hard to judge scale, but that's well above like Mount Everest height, like
no,
significantly so.
no, I
So,
mean, you're following 20 miles from where you went up, right?
oh, so you meant like laterally, not
Yes,
okay.
20-mile radius.
I
yes.
misunderstood what you were talking
hmm
about, but yeah, you're right. It wouldn't be that far. You would. I don't think you would exit the city with how big Gotham is.
The Balloon Man was also Davis Lamon, by the way, to any of you who do not remember, a juvenile Gotham Juvenile Service member. I don't know what his motivation was. I'm just reading the synopsis right now.
He was killing the corrupt like Gotham
Oh
elite.
yeah,
So like he was kind of a vigilante, but like a very bad one because he killed people.
yeah, he was a murderous vigilante, which is not cool. All right,
So he's
next.
kind of like Arrow from season one.
Yeah, you failed this city. Here's a balloon.
All right, moving on. The electroshock mind control. This is kind of a appeared in 2 episodes with the electrocutioner guy, and basically he just did a really sketchy, not very regulated version of electroshock therapy, which is something that doctors actually use, normally just as a last resort, though, and it's much more controlled and much less intense. So the way he did it, he pretty much had no control and was just like throwing some absurd amount of electricity into people's brains and hoping for the best. But because everybody's brains are very different and we have such a low knowledge of it, that him doing that over and over again would get different results for pretty much everybody. And we saw that in the show. Pretty much everybody he did it to had different results. Um, it looked from the where he was placing the electrodes on their heads that it was mostly uh, affecting their frontal lobe, which would make sense based off the symptoms because the frontal lobe controls your higher executive thinking, all of your decision making, a lot of your memories are stored there. So as far as like wanting to be able to control somebody, frying their part of their brain that allows them to critically think would be good, as well as frying the part of their brain that allows them to disobey, which are both kind of in that area. But the problem is like I said, everybody's brain is wired differently, so that's why it only worked 2 out of the how many times he did it, and the last time he did it with the huge guy, all it did was make him a like a machine. He had no
hmm
thoughts anymore. All he did was follow orders and punch things. So really, it's not a very effective way to mind control someone because even if you did it under the controlled situations that like actual neurosurgeons might use or psychiatrists, it only works about 50% of the time, and they only use it to control depressive disorders and manic disorders, and like a 50% success rate is not good. That's why they only use it half as a last resort when they have to.
The electrocutioner also is a comic book character from Batman, but there have been like 3 or 4 electrocutioners. Like the first 1 or 2 didn't have their names revealed. The third one is um, Jack Bukinski.
That's what
Uh,
is in the show.
oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. The third one was Lester Bukinski, who claimed to be the brother of the first electrocutioner. And so they're just saying that the first one was Jack. They just made that up. They're like, we'll say that it's Jack, right? They sort of retconned the first electrocutioner into the Gotham TV show.
It's a pretty decent idea though, since you don't have any contradictions with the comic book. So as far as like anyone's concerned, they're as right as anybody else is.
Yeah, they get to just like pull from random. Uh, it's weird. Also, what do they own compared to what Arrow owns, right? Because Firefly is a Batman villain, but Firefly is an Arrow. Deadshot is also a Batman villain. Deadshot's an Arrow.
What about Solomon Grundy too? Wasn't he an Arrow too?
Was
Or
Solomon
no?
Grundy?
No, I don't think so.
I don't.
You
I
sure?
don't. Maybe they mentioned him. No, he was an Arrow. Yeah, he was. Um,
When was he an Arrow?
they like some
Second
talk.
season.
Yeah, second season, some toxic waste got dumped on a guy, and he became like zombie-esque. It wasn't around long.
Yeah.
Was he a
Mhm.
Batman villain or no? I can't remember.
He is a Batman villain.
Mhm. Well, kind of. He's
He
all.
shows up in a lot of Batman comics, so I'm
Yeah, he
pretty confident
crosses
in
the
calling him
line. Yeah, he crosses the line with Batman and Justice League, kind of like how Ra's al Ghul does.
I mean, they're all in the same universe, so it makes sense that a lot of them show up in multiple situations. Like, oh, clearly Batman keeps kicking my ass. Maybe I should try my plans in a different city.
Well, yeah. Well, oh, you mean comic book west? I thought you meant like TV, and I'm like,
Well,
different
yeah,
networks own
these
the
TV,
rights.
these true, but we haven't seen any overlap except with Firefly and
Was Firefly in Gotham?
yeah, as the girl, the friend of Selena Kyle's, who had the pyromaniac three brothers who she kills.
Whoa, is that season 2?
No, because she shows up in season one and then she blows up.
What?
Yeah,
Oh my
she's in
gosh.
one episode.
Gosh, man. We are doing a whole episode on Gotham, and we're supposed to sound researched, but like everything is just blurring together because I watched this show so fast. Like I just went back to back to back. And I just was like, can I get more on whatever the hell is going on with Barbara Keene? Because I don't get. Oh man, uh, Milo Ventimiglia was really turning her into a serial killer.
I'm like 80% sure that Firefly shows up in the first season. If not, she's in like episode one or two of the second season before she blows up. Because they changed the sex of Firefly, because normally it's a guy, and they made her a girl.
So they're saying it's a completely different Firefly. She's Bridget Pike of the
Yeah.
Pike family. She was turned into a villain by Hugo Strange. Rise
Okay.
of the
That's
Villains.
that's the second season where
Yeah.
Hugo Strange brings her back to life. But she was around before that, and Jim Gordon shoots her like backpack with all of the flammables in it, and it blows up, and she dies.
It's
So
saying here that her first appearance was in the second season.
it
I was
must have
say I
been
don't
like
remember that at all.
Yeah.
okay, so that must have been like the very first few episodes of season two,
Okay.
because that's why I'm thinking it's season one, because she died and then was gone for a really long time, and then showed up again at the end.
All right.
Sorry
And
for the tangent off topic from Gotham season one.
oh, you're fired. All right, let's get to the last topic you've got. Another thing that confused me because I don't remember Viper either.
Okay, so this was a really early episode. It was like two episodes after the Balloon Man killer.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy who used to work for Wayne Enterprises is just handing out this prequel to Venom because he's a
Gotcha.
biochemist and was able to make it. And he's trying to prove a point that Wayne Enterprises is evil and he disagrees with the production of super soldiers via Venom. So he's handing out Viper, but Viper had a problem with it. That's why they don't use it, and that's why they move on to Venom, and that it causes death. So pretty serious problem. But he starts giving it out to just random people on the street. They get super strong for a little bit with a huge sense with a very euphoric high. They go think they're indestructible and like rob banks or do whatever, and then their bones kind of disintegrate and they die.
Oh, that's
Uh,
right. Their bones pretty much melt.
yeah, so all well and good, a super steroid and all, I can get behind that, but their explanation for it is just total bullshit.
Okay.
It's so bad that it made me kind of mad about it. It's one of those things where it's like, oh, that's not even good pseudoscience. Like in the Flash when they try and talk about other dimensions, it's like, well, nobody really knows anything about that, so you throwing in this nonsense about other dimensions is fine. But Nigma tries to explain it by saying the drug causes a hypermetabolism of the calcium in your bones, which then leads to obviously your bones getting really weak. But during the time when it's actually metabolizing your bones, you get a ton of extra energy, and that contributes to the super strength. There are so many problems with this.
All right,
Could,
give me at least two.
well, there will be more than two. First of all, just because you have an extreme amount of energy, it does not equate to super strength. That's a load of bullshit. Just because you have the energy to lift something twice your body weight doesn't mean you have the muscle tone and the um, muscle units. I can't remember what they're called, but you don't have enough of them built up in your muscles to be able to do that. So just because you have the energy to do it doesn't mean that it'll actually happen. At best, all of these people are going to become marathon runners and have huge amounts of endurance because they have all this extra energy, but it won't actually increase their strength. So these people could easily like kill someone and then run 50 miles away so that they don't get caught. But they're not going to be in the show. Um, Bigger problem though is you can't metabolize calcium, and you
Oh,
you kind of recycle calcium, and it goes into your bones as hydroxyapatite, and then it gets pulled out again, and that constant turnover makes your bones stronger. So you have some hormones and some cells cause your bones to resorb, which is basically dissolve, and then some build it back up, and that's happening all the time. But like the actual element calcium, you can't metabolize that. So metabolism is like breaking of chemical bonds, and that breaking of those bonds gives you energy. But if calcium is just an element, it has no bonds, so you can't break
oh,
bonds.
it has no bonds because it's a singular element, right?
Yeah. Plus, calcium is as part of the periodic table, where even if it was found in an ionic compound, there's no real bond there because ionic bonds aren't actually bonds. It's just two atoms of different charges being close together because of electrostatic interactions. So pulling them apart doesn't release a huge amount of energy. Um,
So hold on, let me bring this down. So like H2O, water is H2O. We know that, right? That is a
yeah,
bond.
yeah, to
There's
two
energy
hydrogen
released.
oxygen bonds.
Yes, there's energy released when you separate those two elements.
Not a lot of it, but yes, there's
Yes.
some. Better example would be glucose, which is what we use for energy. We
Yeah.
break glucose down into carbon dioxide, and that produces a lot of energy that
Yeah,
we
I'm just
use.
trying to keep it simple because not everyone may know of glucose, but everybody knows of water. All right? But like that the separation creates energy, all right? And that's what you metabolize and use. Water doesn't have a lot, sure. But
Yeah,
when you metabolize calcium, if you look at a periodic table, you know that calcium is the letter C. And it is
Ca. Carbon
oh,
is C.
oh, thank you. Thank you. Ooh. Um, you know that Ca it's one element.
Yep.
That's it.
And because of its characteristics as an alkaline earth metal, it doesn't make bonds. It forms ionic compounds at best,
Hmm.
and ionic compounds don't break apart into a lot of energy.
So you
You
can't break
could,
down calcium because it is by itself. It is already at its barest form. So
yes. So
metabolizing that is impossible.
yes, you could split it up, split the atom in half, which is nuclear fission, but that's what atomic bombs do.
So
So if you did
you're
that with
chemically
just like
powering your bones?
yeah, if you broke down the calcium in your bones, which is a horrible source to do nuclear fission with anyway, uh, because it's not a super heavy element. So when you do fission, you want something that's fairly unstable, so you use something super heavy like uranium or plutonium, and because they're huge and they break apart much easier. Calcium is on the stable half of the periodic table because it's a lightweight element, so it's very unlikely to break apart. And even if it did, that amount of energy would just destroy your cell. They would just blow up.
Well,
So
that's kind of what happens. So
I
they got the second half right.
yeah, the only thing in that makes sense is that yes, if you took all the calcium out of your bones, they'd be very brittle and they would break really easily. And with no bones, your muscles couldn't work, and with no muscles, you would die of respiratory arrest, which is what uh, Nigma says happens. They die because they can't breathe because their muscles have nothing to move on because the bones are gone. Um, Other symptoms you would get if you had hypercalcemia, which is what would happen if all the calcium in your bones started getting resorbed and put in your bloodstream. You would have increased heart rate because you use calcium to fire muscle impulses. So having that increased calcium would make your heart beat really fast, which is bad. Um, you would have renal failure, also bad, so your kidneys shut down. Um, you would have to go to the bathroom a lot because you would just be constantly trying to get rid of calcium, so you have to pee constantly, which is also bad because then you're getting rid of a lot of water and you become very dehydrated, start to have low blood pressure, also bad. So yeah, those are among a few of the other symptoms of hypercalcemia. So
All right.
bad news bears for anyone with that.
No Viper. All right. Is
Yes,
that
it's
all
it's
for
very
this?
bad.
We wrapping up science then?
Yeah, those were the three big ones I wanted to talk about.
Boom chakalaka. Twitter time, your time to shine.
All right, some fun facts.
Boom chaka.
Um, I have a fun fact. Going back to bonds, you could use bonds to save the world from nuclear fission because Pierce Brosnan did it and Daniel Craig saved the world from atomic bombs, and they were bonds.
That was horrible. Just
Not only that,
That's what.
everyone saw that coming a mile away.
Do you guys get it because they played James Bond
yes,
in the
we
007 movies?
we got it. It was just really
Okay.
really bad.
I choose not to get it.
Hey, when you edit this, will you put crickets chirping after that joke?
No, you don't deserve it.
Even the crickets thought it was bad.
Because you were like, silence.
I should have hopped off the call after that. Just said that and then just
Mic
quit.
drop.
Yep, boom.
What you got for us?
All right, for Gotham fun facts. Ben McKenzie, who plays Gordon, and Marina Baccarin, they are dating on that show, and they're actually dating in real life and have a child together.
Whoa, are they
Which
married? With a child?
I
No wedlock marriage?
I assume it was in wedlock.
Oh,
But
damn.
those crazy kids, who knows what they're doing these days? The last time Bruce Wayne was on the small screen in live action was 46 years ago when he with the Batman live show that ran from 66 to 68.
Oh, yeah. It's been that long since Batman's been around on TV.
On TV. Jada Pinkett Smith brought a man on a leash to her audition as Fish Mooney and had liar written on lipstick on his forehead. So I guess she really, really wanted the part.
Wow. I thought they pretty much made that for her. Because she was like the big star of the show.
Yeah, I mean, all the money went to her, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, Ben McKenzie isn't that big of a name. Donald Luge is like the Donald Logue is like a TV star-ish. He's been on a few
D-list.
shows.
I mean, Ben McKenzie's a big enough name if you watch a lot of like animated Batman stuff.
Yeah, but that's not network TV. That is not network TV standards.
If they would have got him 10 years ago when the OC was popular, he would have been.
That's right.
Yeah, so she really wanted that part, I guess. Oh, and going back on Gordon and Alfred's age, Gordon is 37, and Alfred is 52 in real life, the actors who play him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so 15-year difference there.
Okay.
That was decently close, Maurer. You almost got Gordon's age right on.
Mm-hmm.
You need to buy a lottery ticket after this.
Boom. I'll get 4 out of the 5 numbers.
Your numbers will all be one number off. You'll be like, oh, fuck. So close.
Robin Lord Taylor, the guy who plays Penguin, to keep the Penguin's limp on point, he placed a bottle cap in his right shoe. That brings him enough pain just to make him walk uneasy.
Oh, you know what? That's not Billy Bob Thornton level of uneasy walk, though, because in Sling Blade, that dude put broken glass in his shoes. Mm-hmm. Some people call it a Kaiser blade. I call it a Sling Blade. Mm-hmm.
Ben McKenzie. His inspiration for his character was he just basically became the younger version of Gary Oldman's portrayal of Jim Gordon in the Dark Knight trilogy. So he based it off Gary Oldman, who played Jim Gordon.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
um, in an interview, Ben McKenzie said the only time Batman will appear on the show is the very last frame of the very last episode of the very last season, whenever that turns out to be. He's like, that's when we'll see Bruce Wayne put on the cape and cowl, which is kind of disappointing.
No, that's how I want it. That's why I don't
Yeah,
even want Bruce Wayne on the show.
I agree. I like that the show is the same universe, but it's a different take on it, and it's not Batman. If I wanted a Batman TV show, I would go watch the '66
Yeah,
Batman
I
TV
know,
you
but
show.
would call it Batman, all right?
if they showed Batman, I don't want it just the very last thing. I either want him in it for a few episodes as Batman or just not at all. Don't
I'm.
even.
Do you think they have hopes to like play it until David Mazouz uh, ages up enough to have like a teen Batman show?
On Gotham season 15, we see
It would
Batman.
only need to go like a few more seasons. I think he's like 17 or 16 now, so by the time he's in his early 20s, he would certainly look old enough to be Batman, hopefully.
That would be interesting if they have that far of hopes. I mean, Batman never really loses popularity, unless the business of superheroes loses popularity.
Yeah, I think that was the last one I had of fun facts.
For season one, you don't. Well, I mean, we know that Ben McKenzie voiced Batman in multiple animated Batman movies. I know he
Uh,
did the voice in Batman Year One. Did he do Gotham Knight? No?
I know Marina Baccarin did Talia in Son of Batman. Talia al
Oh,
Ghul.
ta-da! See,
Wow, I didn't know that. That's awesome. I thought the only other comic book thing she was in was Deadpool.
Oh yeah, there's another one. She also plays Vanessa in Marvel, so
you
she's on
know,
both
yeah.
universes.
You know what's weird though is does Willa Holland from Arrow, who plays Thea, look like the exact same as like a little sister to Marina Baccarin?
No, because Marina Baccarin is Brazilian and Willa Holland isn't.
I don't. I think they just look really
I
similar
see a
now.
resemblance in there. If they told me they were related, I would believe it. If you look past the skin color.
Okay. What the heck? Oh no, he's just done Batman Year One. That's it. That's it. Oh well. Bruce Greenwood does a lot of other stuff. He was also in a show called Gotham Stories. What's Gotham Stories? Is that the most recent, like, what the hell are Gotham Stories? Is that a DC Nation thing? What? Oh, what? Here's a thing. There's a animated, um, there's a motion comic. Kind of? I can't tell what this is. That is 5 episodes long. That bridges the gap between season 1 and season 2 of Gotham, called Gotham Stories. All right, that's it. I'm not going to talk about that because I don't know what that is. We have a couple drinking game rules. I'm sure. My favorite is whenever Alfred does something sassy. That's my favorite time to drink something, some sort of sassy fruit drink. Just be like, ooh, sour. I'll drink a whiskey sour every time. Just, ooh,
Or drink
That's
something
very
British.
sassy.
sassy. This is truly the sassy Alfred that we've been waiting for.
I don't know. Batman v Superman Alfred was pretty sassy a lot of the time. I think you just don't see enough of him to have it
Hmm.
be as a good comparison.
Makes sense. We always feel free to cycle through these drinking game rules, whatever.
The one I got said drink every time Maroni reminds you of Elmer Fudd because he can't pronounce his R's. He goes, I'm Salvatore Maloney. I'm going to find Bruce Wayne. I'm going to kill him dead.
You're a very pretty girl, Marie.
If you don't do what I tell you, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to saw off your head.
God. Okay. Every time you find yourself rolling your eyes, take a drink. Whether it be for cheesy dialogue or the obvious placement of a future villain cameo, any of those. Anytime you roll your eyes, just be like, oh, fuck. Just
Every time the Riddler says something?
Every time they force a reference to the comics so blatant where you just want to slam your head against the wall.
You have to take a shot out of a comic book shot glass. Don't kill yourself. Drink responsibly. Feel free to replace anything alcoholic with grape juice.
Or O'Doul's.
O'Doyle rules?
That too. Instead of taking a shot, just say O'Doyle rules. And then drink O'Doul's.
Oh, these are our best drinking game rules yet. I mean, there isn't I mean, you can drink for the simplest stuff. I'm sure every time you flip to Bruce Wayne when you don't want to flip to Bruce Wayne.
I was actually just about to say that one. Every time it shows Bruce Wayne, you're just like, God damn it, I just want more of Gordon and Bullock.
Yeah, I just want more of Gordon and Bullock. And just, I don't know, just like mix a bunch of crap together whenever Fish Mooney is talking, because that's what her script feels like. That's all I got. Anyone have anything else they want to say?
I think
No?
I'm good.
All right. Okay. All right. That sounds like it's going to wrap it up today, Superfans. Super Movie Studies is recorded and produced by Tri-Up Cop Productions.
You can also find us on iTunes, rate and subscribe to us. Give us a review. We like to see those reviews. If you want to get on the show, reach out to us. But subscribe to us on iTunes, and you'll find new episodes every Monday. That was good.
All right, we're also on Twitter. Tom's always there for superhero conversations, so hit up Twitter Tom at super the letter M studies. That's at super M studies to hit up Twitter Tom. And don't forget
I'm getting my ICQ name on there too, so you guys can hit me up on ICQ.
What's ICQ?
You don't remember ICQ?
I don't know what ICQ
Like back
is.
in MSN Messenger day? It's an old like MSN Messenger.
Way to just
oh my gosh.
super date yourself there.
Tom, do you realize you're like 10 years older than us? Yeah.
Yeah.
We're older than you.
I'm sorry, we didn't. I mean, I was like 6 when AOL came out.
Yeah, really, it was definitely not something I did after school. It was AOL message people. It's a little bit before my time.
I'll just hang up my rotary phone.
You gotta go find some friends through your Rolodex.
Oh my God.
Well, let me whip out my little black book. I got you in here.
Yeah, let me.
Oh my God.
It's gonna be a lonely night. I'm gonna have to go find the Playboy I stored.
You just took that too far. Too far.
Too far. Fuck you. All right.
It was funny, and then you said that, and then we're like, no.
Oh, it's uncomfortable to talk about porn, even though it's fucking everywhere.
No, if you would have said it like 2 jokes sooner, fine.
I got you. My timing was off.
Yeah, timing was bad.
Timing is everything.
All right. I'm not getting paid to do this. I don't gotta give a shit. Finally, triopcop.com. TRIOPCOP.com. This will be the first episode that will go on triopcop.com first. All right? The iTunes people are not getting this. If you go to the website, you get this episode first. You heard it here first. Or yesterday, whatever. But if you're listening to this now, iTunes people, it's a week later. Oh. You'll notice there was a 1-week gap last week. All right? You want to come get it at the right time? Go to our website. There they will always be ready for you. You can download them there and save them forever. You can also find the schedule for our future episodes in case you want to get learned up and help join in on the conversation every week. Show notes will go up, I promise. Drinking game rules will always be there, as well as you can email us, supermoviestudies@triopcop.com. You email us. You want to get on the show. You have a fun idea for a topic. All right. You really want to talk about perhaps the music of Gotham, since we totally sidelined that. And you're like, I really have some things to say. You want to spend 10 minutes talking about that? Fine. You want to give us some sort of existential conversation about violence and Batman v Superman? I know that's been posed as an idea before. We can certainly do that. You just got to be like, I want to do this. Let's schedule a time. And boom, we'll be right there with you. Or if you just want to be on a regular episode, that too. But that's all I got for you today. So remember, I'm your host, Michael Maurer.
Twitter time.
And Grant Austin.
And you all have a super week.
Have a very good week.
Have a super week.
A very, very good week.
A very, very good week.